Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to A Happier You Leads to a Healthier You. I am your host, Goddess Asha Mariama. And of course, I have Mr. Peter Stewart. And we are going to continue the conversation that I posted on my podcast about the mind and the body and the importance of the healing and the connection between the two. And what happens when the mind and the body are not connected when it comes to understanding each other. Because I think when it comes to healing and recovery, if the mind and the body are not connected and we don't learn how to understand how both are impacted when it comes to our consciousness versus our subconscious and bringing them together at an equal medium, we're going to keep making the wrong choices, the wrong decisions, our actions and behavior, which impacts our physical health, our mental health, psychological health, spiritual health, emotional health, our family relationships dynamics, and our financial dynamics. So we are going to be discussing multiple aspects of that. How are you doing, Mr. Peter?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. So the last time we spoke, we talked about, the physical therapy and the mental because you went from doing the physical therapy now doing mental. So as far as the importance of the mind and the body connection, why is there a disconnect? So let me give you an example. I had an anxiety attack because I got hit in the back of the neck that same day. Was on my way home. All of a sudden, I had a panic attack. Didn't know where it came from. And even though my mind was fine, it was like my body kept having these panic attacks. And I could not understand why they kept happening to the point where it was affecting my driving. And I couldn't understand why it was happening. And then I also went through physical therapy when I had two car accidents, not even 8 hours apart. And for
Wow.
years, I could not, understand that. And then a doctor told me, he said, "Are you having tunnel vision?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "What it is your eyes are not, your brain is not computing what your body is telling it." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Because even though mentally there's nothing wrong, there was something physically that's making it scared." And I had to learn to start talking to my body and saying mentally that it's going to be okay. And then my body would start to calm down. But why is it that our mind and body in certain aspects, as far as these anxiety attacks, that there's this disconnect between the
It's a
two?
it's a great question, and I think a lot of it has to do with the amount of trauma that we've incurred and the amount of trauma that we've dealt with. We shelve a lot of stuff. Most people do. Most of us don't learn from our parents to, oh, well, let's sit down and talk about what happened. That's certainly not the way I grew up, and that's not the way most of the people I've worked with have grown up. So, most of it is soldier on, right? You just put it behind you, and move forward. In Jungian terms, he would refer to that as the unconscious, the shadow, our shadow self, where that's all the unresolved stuff that you stick in the closet and you don't deal with. So, in terms of that, it's a matter of thinking of, okay, so if I have accumulative trauma over time, mental, emotional, and physical trauma, and I think we discussed before that, I mean, if you have a physical trauma, there's going to be an emotional and mental component to that as well. So, all these things add up from the time we're a child, like say, even in utero. I mean, fetal alcohol syndrome is an a trauma to the unborn child, like so. And there can be other issues in utero. The the birthing process itself is traumatic. It's not something we remember, but certainly most people say it's the first trauma we experience. And because we are conscious to that experience on whatever level that is at that age, and the fact we don't remember it is very good. But we get into a habit of putting behind us a lot of what has happened, and because it's just like how can you function if you're going to break down for every little thing that happens? However, a lot of those little things combined with some major things, say like a car accident or two, and within an 8-hour period, it's like you had a target on you, right? And like the universe was just trying to give you a message and say, uh, actually, what the heck's going on here? Because you are, right? Like, I've had patients who have had multiple car accidents within 6 months, but never twice in one day. And I usually, am thinking as a practitioner when I'm listening to them talk that they're probably not in the best of places or super conscious. Because how did you show up to that intersection or that moment when you had a collision with another vehicle? I think after a while we can kind of be semi-unconscious while we're walking around this life. So it's and you don't know until it hits you. Case in point, I was out to lunch today. It's funny that we're talking about this, and my with one of my good friends, and he was just describing that in the last 2 days his anxiety is really ramped up. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and saying all the symptoms you had, and even talking about the tunnel vision. I was just talking about that with him an hour ago, and I also said, it's just an overwhelm, right? Your brain's
Mm-hmm.
overwhelmed, and it's time to shut things down and narrow things down because the inputs coming in are too much for it to handle, and you've not been able to, or you haven't consciously known to deal with some of the stuff that's been under the skin, so to speak, under the surface, and that will shut us down. So I had my own experience of that about 10 years ago, I guess it was almost 10 years ago. It was New Year's Eve, and I was having people over. My wife and I were having friends and family in for the night, and I was cooked all day and cleaned, and we also were helping my daughter with her newborn at the time, and it was a very busy time in our lives. And I thought, oh, guests are starting to arrive. A couple of people have come early. I'm just going to run up and have a quick shower. And I stepped out of the shower, grabbed the towel, and fell sideways against the
Oh,
door.
wow.
I lost my equilibrium. I had vertigo, and I got myself sort of back up to my feet, wrapped the towel around me, and realized I was going to keel over again. So I just kind of hopped on one foot into my bedroom and threw myself onto the bed. I laid there for about 2 hours before I could actually move. And it's funny, right before the vertigo hit me, I felt like everything was closing in on me. And
Oh,
and it was simply a matter of, after discussing it with my medical doctor and a few other people that I trust, it was really about I was overwhelmed and I wasn't taking care of myself.
oh,
And
wow.
and then when that happens, your brain is just saying, I can't take any more stimuli. I'm done. Shutting her down now. So, and
That
if you
that makes
can't know to,
sense.
right, and if you can't know to shut it down yourself, how about a car accident? How about something? How about two car accidents? You didn't learn from the first one, kind of thing. We joke about it, but it's and you got to joke about it, but it does seem in my years of working with chronic pain, almost 30 years now, that it's amazing how these people have attracted certain things in their life, certain circumstances, and certain events that you would think, "Oh my heavens, that's terrible." But most of them became grateful for it later because it stopped them from continuing with a bad relationship. It stopped them from, it made them stop and look around at their life
That
and
makes
go,
sense.
yeah. And when they started to recover from their pain, they started to see with more clear eyes and then went, wait a second, this person isn't supportive. This person needs to go. And it could be relationship, it could be a job, it could be, but you really have to. I had a woman the other day, or sorry, a couple of years ago now. She was the managing director of an NGO out of Washington, and in sustainable roads. Amazing woman, very, very brilliant. But she said to me in the interview, it feels like there are chinks in my armor. So
Oh,
for somebody to get to her position, and she could have easily been CEO. She's bright, bright, bright person, and would have been done well managing the entire affair. But um, there comes a certain point in time where you wear yourself thin. And she was trying to do so much, and she was so used to doing so much that at one point she just was starting to break down and not knowing how to handle it. She's when she said it feels like there are chinks in my armor and things are getting through. I was like, "Phew, yes, they are. And
yeah,
and this is where you need to listen to yourself. And you're a very smart person. It took me a while to get her to understand that it was her job that was killing her and
yeah,
and her dedication to this profession and what she believed in, but it wasn't working the way she needed it to work for her. So yeah, and eventually she took 6 months leave, and eventually she did leave the job. And I can't tell you how quickly she had a turnaround in her symptoms.
that is, yeah, I agree because I was saying the same thing about that today when it comes down to that golden child, when it comes down to you cutting your family off because you put all of their problems on your shoulders and you have that spiritual weight because you feel like you're the one that your parents overlook. You're
Hmm.
the one that your parents, you got to pay your way through school. Mom and them pay for them, do everything for them. They don't even come to your events. They don't come to your wedding. They don't come to anything, but they want you to pay their bills. They
Hmm.
want you to take care of them. And
Hmm.
so one day you overhear something, or they're asking you to sell your house, or they take your furniture, or take your car, or you've been gone out of the country and you're a travel nurse and you come home and your sister's in your house done
Hmm.
moved in, done changed, done took over your whole entire space. So now
Hmm.
you're fighting to get your space back. And
Hmm.
it's like that same thing, that spiritual weight. I told people when you relinquish your yeah, that spiritual weight,
Hmm.
and when you deal with your family as far as those boundaries and you accept things for what they are, because we want things the way we want things to be. I always say every time I hear James Scott Farron, I want what I want and I want it now, I laugh because that's a real statement though,
100%.
because you really
100%.
want what you want and you don't realize that because you want what you want, you're not seeing it for what it is. Because all
Do
your
you
focus is on, I'm gonna get what I want, and I don't care how I get it, who I hurt, no matter what I gotta do, I'm gonna get what I want. So then when it came to desire, and then when I heard Al Pacino say in Devil's Advocate, in the very end, he said, I'm on the ground, giving man their desires, giving man their wants. I sat back, I said, wait, hold up. Let me rewind that one more time. So as he started talking about taste but don't touch, all of these things, that goes back to want because you look, but you're still feeding into it. It's just like that forbidden fruit we're not supposed to eat, but you eat it anyway because you want it, not
Mhm.
because you're not supposed to have it. Just like you eating all this stuff because you see it in the store or doing it because you see everybody else do it. But that doesn't mean that you have to. So I think that also plays a part because of that, that type of behavior. I think it does to a certain extent as far as that is concerned.
I'd agree with you. I think the healthy thing is to want what you need and not want what you want. Because you have to ask yourself a question right away, like, why do I want this? What's my intention? Right. And I think most of us go around very unconsciously without having an intention for the day. You can see this when you go grocery shopping. It's a classic. You've got 5 items on your list and you come out with 25 and you're like, damn. how did that happen? Right? I just put a huge chunk of, because you were distracted. You didn't have a strong intention going in on, I'm only going to spend this much money because I only have so much, and I need these items. That's what I'm going for. And then you get distracted by the music, the lights, the whatever. It's all set up to get you to spend, right? And to be
Mm-hmm.
distracted. So you have to be strong. The grocery store is a great example of that. Everybody's done it, you know?
Walmart.
Oh, Walmart. I
Walmart.
I know, like, I've been a Costco member for so long that I just love, bulk toilet paper and Kleenex and all that sort of thing, right? Because having a family full of women, we go through stuff so fast. It's ridiculous, and but it's also a matter of saying, I go in and I know what I need to get, and I know what aisles they're in, and I can be in and out in 20 minutes, maybe half an hour tops. When my wife volunteers to go, I'm like, I think I'll make time, because that could be $500 or $600 later, right? Well, so I bought this for so and so, and their birthday's coming up, and I thought that might be kind of cute, and blah, blah. And God bless her. I mean, she's got a heart of gold, and she thinks of others all the time. But it's again, where's the intention? And if you were intending to go out and actually pick that up, that's fine. But if it's just a random, oh, look at this on sale. This is actually a really good deal. Is it? Do we need it? Because
Black
it's not a good deal if we don't need it.
Black
You
Friday, when they make you believe that all of this stuff is a certain percentage off, but they do it all year round and it's not the same. And I remember last year when it came down to Black Friday, somebody exposed it. It was like it's the same price as you would get it during, when you get your tax return. It's the same thing. And it blows my mind because I'm the same way now. People like, well, you don't never want anything. I said, not really, not anymore. I really base things on what I need. And when you said about the lady and her
Mhm.
job,
Yeah.
a lot of people don't understand that you only get 40 hours of PTO. You only get a certain amount of sick leave. So
Hmm.
you can't even go to the doctor to go get examined because you have to use your PTO. You don't even get sick leave. I remember back in the day, and my dad always told me the biggest mistake that we made was when we went from salary to hourly.
Mm.
And I was like, what do you mean? It's because I remember when they did it. I was working at the hospital and I was working, making $15 an hour at the time. And I remember all the other girls were salary. And everybody was like, well, you get overtime. But they didn't understand that salary, all of that was included, and you got to have unlimited time off. You could
Hmm.
go off and you still would get paid. You would still get your 40 hours. Whereas people that have, hourly, you have to request time off. You
Hmm.
just can't say, I want to go on vacation and be gone for 2 weeks because you couldn't. Whereas a salary person who worked 80 hours a week could say, I want to be gone for 2 weeks, and they can be gone for 2 weeks. And I think that was our mistake when we went from salary to hourly, because now a lot of jobs are barely giving salary even to management, honestly. And
Hmm.
then, you're overwhelmed because if you work customer service, you got all these people yelling at you. And then, you get all these people complaining, and you got to go home, and you don't, and if you're a single person, you have nobody to talk to about what you're going through. Going to therapy is so expensive now. And it's to the point that when you try to talk to your family, they're always saying, well, just suck it up. Act like it didn't happen. So when that woman talked about that, you're doing all of these hoops and bounds just to be able to get a promotion, that you're going to be dealing with more stress than you did when you were just a regular employee as a manager.
Hmm. Yep. Um, I can't emphasize enough of how daily struggle is harder every year, in a capitalistic society. It's just, we are, I think we're coming up against the far point of it. I think we're hitting the wall, and I think you're going to see a lot of shift and change having to happen, because people are hitting the end. Yeah. How much further can it go?
Yeah, because you're having mental health is on an all-time high. Colon
Oh,
cancer is at an all-time high. Chronic pain is at an all-time high. And you're having people that you would think are healthy on the outside. They work out, they do everything, and they look good.
mhm.
But internally, they have gambling issues, relationship issues, mental health issues. You have people that were told when they were kids, when they went through something, to suck it up.
Yep.
And those people go from being victims to being the abuser. So you go from being the abused to being the abuser. And then not only that, the decisions that you're making are based on your feelings, and you're not asking yourself, is this really worth me really being upset about? It's like when I tell people emotional intelligence. Sometimes you got to ask yourself, is this worth me being upset about? And what level do I need to be upset about it? And I said, when you go back and look at your life, you're gonna realize your life was never yours. It was never yours because you get paid. What do? Pay bills. That's not, you're not doing what you want to do with your money.
Yeah.
What do? You get married. Now you have to lower yourself for someone else because they don't want you to work and they want you to stay home and be a mother. So
Yeah.
now you're stressed out because you're in the house all day with kids all day. Your husband's out there in the world. He comes home, he won't take them, and then now you're stressed out. Now you have divorce at an all-time high. You got people that's driving on the road. Matter of fact, when my mom picked me up from the airport, we were on our way home and almost got to the house. Stopped and got something from McDonald's. Guy went through the light and just went straight to the light and didn't care. So you have
Yeah.
people that are in such a rush to get somewhere, and I'm like, you still gonna get there? But if you would have got up early and got dressed, you would have got there on time. What were you doing the night before that made you decide to get up late and be late for work? And now you're rushing, and now you done been cause an accident that shouldn't even happen
Yeah. But our
because you're
choices,
speeding.
I believe our choices that we make, especially unconscious choices like that, are coming from mental health issues, right? I think, like as you said, everybody's overtaxed, they're overburdened, and we don't have the capacity to know how to handle all of this. We're just told, as you said, suck it up and move on. And there comes a certain point in time where you tip the, like in the chronic pain world, I always talk about, you've had so much trauma, mental, emotional, and physical, that it's like a scale, and that last grain of sand tips it, and now you're not healing. And that's the point where we need to pour a lot of money into mental health. Mental health is at the root base of all of what you're saying. And for the husband who doesn't want to come home and help with the kids in the evening, you got to look and be grateful for the fact that you are in a situation where you can where it's a one parent income. That's fantastic in itself. But if you don't want to come home and help with the kids at night, then why did you agree to this sort of situation? And usually it's a mental health issue. Yeah, I want kids. I don't have the mental capacity to deal with them. And it comes down to taking better care of ourselves, and the knowing that everybody needs counseling. I mean, no one's got this figured out. And we're getting more and more stuff thrown at us all the time. So how do we handle it? Well, drugs, food, booze, doesn't matter, right? All of this stuff. And I was talking with a veteran, an American vet who has a podcast. He's in Montana, and he tries to reach out to a male base to talk about these things, the stressors and addiction and things like that. And I said, long ago, I realized that people who have addictions, it's a mental health issue. For society to look down upon people who are struggling with drug or alcohol addiction, or food or pornography, or it doesn't really matter, right? Like, it's wherever you are focusing. These are people who are struggling to stay here. These are people who this is anchoring them to this earth. That's the only thing they've got right now because their brain is overwhelmed and they cannot handle what's happened to them. And I'm
No.
like, for any of these people who are saying, oh, drug addicts and blah, 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 I'm like, okay, well, do you want to listen to where they came from, what their story was, and listen to their abuse story, listen to, how lost they were as a child and had no guidance and no support? And I mean, if we're going to be nurturing each other, it starts with our mental health. And we need to focus on that. We need to get our governments to focus on that. How much is it going to cost any one country as the years progress and mental health gets worse and there's more shootings and there's more people driving through intersections, not paying attention to the light, any of that stuff. Like it's going to start costing us more and more. The price of everything is going to go up because we're not helping people with their mental health issues and making
Yeah.
it aware. Like what, here in Canada, we have something called, it's like Bell Canada does this mental health awareness day. We're all aware that people have it's sort of like breast cancer awareness month. I mean,
Mhm.
we all know people who have had breast cancer. I mean, most of us do. We're all aware that breast cancer is a thing, but how about we start talking about how to prevent it, right? How come that's not the conversation? And
Yeah.
I say the same thing with the mental health stuff. Oh, good, one day. We're trying to make everybody aware and raise money. And is that helping? Like, we need serious government input into seeing that in the long term, we're going to save money by helping people with their mental health so that they don't, go off the deep end and cost us much more and many more lives affected by it. So yeah, to me, it's a pandemic.
It is. It really, really is. And because of those decisions you make mentally, and because of the trauma and the damage, your physical is being damaged. And it's not until, you know, you have chronic pain and you feel pain. Like, for example, my pain may start in my neck, then it may go down to my I'll take a Motrin or I take some Tylenol or even
Hmm.
oxycodone or whatever. That pain will find somewhere to go. And when I started really paying attention to the body, really, really, feeling everything, my mind is like, wait a minute. I never had these, you know, I didn't realize my body felt like this
Hmm.
because we've been so consumed with everything else. We're so consumed with everything else that we're not feeling the actual pain of our body. When I was sitting still in a hospital and I couldn't walk and feeling that numbness, I literally felt everything.
Hmm.
And from that day forward, when I didn't have nobody calling my phone, when I was completely by myself and I could feel everything, and feeling that pain was unbearable. But I
Hmm.
said I can either sit in this pain or try to do something to figure out what the main issue is. Fighting with doctors telling me we can't find anything because you can't see pain in x-rays or MRIs. But it's got to be coming from somewhere. The pain got to be coming somewhere. A lot of people say it's inflammation. Inflammation could be a problem. Your insulin levels can be an issue. What you eat, your digestive system, but the thing about it is it could be a combination of all of those things. It could be a bulging disc that you don't see, a hernia
Hmm.
that's behind another one. That I had two hernias that were right behind each other. One was
Hmm.
right behind the other one. You didn't see it. You only saw one.
Hmm.
So my thing is, if you go to Turkey, for example, they do a full examination, all in 2 days, 2 or 3 days.
Hmm.
They do everything. They test you
Hmm.
for everything, and then
Hmm.
they give you a long list or short list or whatever they find. They tell you, and these are the things you go home and you start, treating. Whereas when you go to a new doctor, they're asking you, instead of them just saying, you know what, we're just going to do all these tests to find out what's going on. We're going to test you for everything. We're going to do your colon, your heart, your liver. We're going to test everything to find out what is going on. Because a person can only tell you what they, based on the surface level of it. Because again, the mind and the body are not connected.
That's
So if
right.
they can't feel what's going on because they're focused on what's going on at home mentally or their everyday issues, they can't tell you how their body is feeling. They can't tell you until you eliminate everything mentally that is going on and you have time to actually feel it. Then you can say, I'm having pain in my side, I'm having pain in my stomach, I'm having pain here, and you can tell them everything.
Hmm.
But nobody can tell you when they go home and they have other issues mentally going on that overshadows how they feel physically. It's just like with sleep. People are strolling, like you said, all day long, strolling. That the anxiety also is coming from that. Because all we're
Hmm.
doing is strolling all day. Our brains are taking in so much information that is on overload, which is probably the reason a lot of people are having anxiety because we're our minds are overloaded with so many things that we can't focus on the things that are primarily. Some people can't even pick up a book anymore and read because their attention spans are so short because
Hmm.
now everything is shorter at this
Hmm.
point.
Hmm. Well, absolutely, 100%. Yeah, you bring up a lot of really good points, and I think for the most part, um, we are in a place where we're suffering, where there's not a lot of answers because we've never been here before. So science isn't, science is saying, yeah, okay, so because you doom scroll all the time, and maybe you get caught up in, you know, oh, one moment, please. The doorbell just rang.
Okay. So yeah, while he's going to go take care of that, I would say this: when it comes down to our, situations with our mind and our body and our spirit, those things have to be combined because every choice, every decision, every action, every behavior that you do, there are consequences and repercussions and karma. But the problem is those consequences and repercussions, you're just thinking mentally. You're not thinking physically of how physically you're going to be impacted by whatever it is that you do or whatever it is that is going to happen. It's like you don't think about, and you may say, for example, you fall in love with somebody and they may say, oh, this ain't the person I thought they were. Well, they never were in the first place. They never were who you thought they were from the beginning because you only saw what you wanted to see and not what is really there. So now that you're back, okay, you can continue from there.
Sorry, unexpected. Somebody wanted me to see if they wanted to clean my gutters,
Oh,
but no, I'm good. Uh, but yeah, sorry, where did we leave off?
we were talking about how, um, like I said, about when you go to the doctor and they're asking you what is wrong,
Mm,
you only can tell them based on what you think because, like I said, your mind is on other things, your
always.
body, but you're not knowing what's going on. How your body's being impacted by your choices, decisions, your actions, behavior, and what it is that you consume. Because the first thing we do is we go off our emotions. That's the first thing that hits how we
Oh yeah,
feel.
yeah.
But our mind does not understand our feelings because unless you get hit in the head, you're not going to understand that process of that.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned the way you do it. I was chatting with a friend of mine he's in Germany, and we were zooming, and I said, "So, Marcus, how are things?" And he said, "Things are good. Things are good. I just came back from the cardiologist." And I said, "Cardiologist? How, if you're seeing a cardiologist, things can't be good." He goes, "Oh, no, no, no. He just checked me out once a year to see how my heart and my vascular system was doing." And I said, "What?" And he said, "Yeah. I also see an internist, and I go to see a neurologist." And so once a year, the Germans get their entire system checked out. I'm like, what? Wait. Uh, we may have public health care in Canada, but and that's fantastic. And there's a lot of improvements that still could be made, but um, I don't see a cardiologist unless I'm sick, unless there's a problem. And
Mhm.
isn't that a better way to do healthcare, is to be completely checked out from head to toe and say, okay, your blood pressure's high, or we found this and that, but overall you're doing pretty good. Um, yeah, so we sit in mystery, and we put it out of our minds because you can't be dwelling on that. Most people don't dwell on it until they get a diagnosis, and by that point you're like, damn, I wish I had known a lot sooner, and I could have maybe done something better for myself. But even then, it's hard because people are so wrapped up in their own lives. And I think we do a lot more for our kids now than they've ever had to have done, as just a generation of kids who seem to be a bit more lost without guidance and without more help behind it. And there's a lot more mental illness with the younger people. Although I have to admit that, I look at my girls and they're very sensitive kids. And my oldest is a singer-songwriter and trying to make it in the music world, and she's had a few accolades so far, but just enough to just enough of a crumb to keep her going, right? It's like a good golfer, or I mean, it's like golfing for me. A couple good swings, hits of the ball on the golf course, and I'm like, all right, I'll suffer through this. That was so much fun. It was a horrible 16 holes, but two of them were really good. So I'll keep
Mhm.
coming back. And the irony of that, but it's and the musical world has changed so much in how you get paid. It's ridiculous. I don't know how they got that to happen, but um anyway, the sensitivity with both kids are high, and suffering from anxiety, and my oldest daughter has ADHD.
Oh.
And Yeah, but we didn't see it and we didn't know it. Now, our doctor said, "You know what? I think you have ADHD." So she did a take-home test, and then she said, "You know what, Dad? You should probably take this test." I'm like, "All right, give it to me. What are the questions?" And then she's asking me these questions. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, all the time. Oh, yeah, no, of course, all the time, all the time." I'm like, "Oh, geez." Mm. So what did I do? I've got friends in the psychology world, so I was talking with my one friend. She owns a firm, and she said, "Well, I'll put you through the protocols." So I went through all the protocols. It's fairly extensive testing, and I came back that I'm in the 85th percentile of inattentiveness, ADHD. And I went, "Oh my heavens, that makes complete sense in my life right now." And since that diagnosis 3 years ago, I've been able to reflect upon my mental health. And it's mind-blowing because I now realize I had such bad bouts of anxiety as a kid and as a
Mm.
teenager, and I didn't know what it was. I just figured that either everybody's going through it or maybe it's just me, and keep it quiet. And, I never told my parents anything. I had bouts of depression. I remember about 4 months of being really depressed and developing sort of an OCD habit in grade 10, and dreading every day of going to school. And just like there was a black rain cloud over me all the time. And I'm putting together pieces of my life because I got a diagnosis 3 years ago and going, wow, I had a lot of mental health issues that I didn't talk about. So I'm a big fan of counselors, and getting the right fit for you is a really important thing too. But I'm a big fan of talking with somebody and getting new perspective on who I think I am, and how I think things work, because I'll be a student for life, and I think that's the best way I can be. I don't have the answers for a lot of things, and I'm going to be constantly in that search. Thankfully, the newer science says our brains are plastic till we die. You know,
Yeah.
and good, because I want to keep learning until I'm gone. And I want to keep shifting and knowing better how to work with me. If And you know what you mentioned earlier about want, and we were talking about want and need. It's important to be selfish. It's important to give yourself what you need, not what you want.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important to understand who you are well enough to know what you need. And I don't think, like with the scrolling and all the rest of the stuff and all the distraction we have in our life and the stressors we have in our life, so easy not to look at our what our needs are. But if I meet my needs, then I'm able to give freely to my wife and my children and my friends and family. And I don't think there's a better feeling on this earth than to give freely, because you're in a good place,
Yeah.
and you can help other people move there. And what can I say about it? If For me, it always comes back to mental health. So all of the chronic pain patients that I work with, there's always a mental health component. I'm not a
Mm-hmm.
counselor, so I refer them out to the really good network of people that I know who can help. Um, and but um, if we don't start recognizing this piece as you say, the mind body connection, we're not going to really tune in. It wasn't until my diagnosis that I tuned into the fact that I've suffered from mental health my whole life,
Yeah.
adverse health. And
Mm-hmm.
I didn't tell my parents. I just tried to suck it up. And especially being a man. I hate to say it, men and women definitely have different issues about, we're on different sides of the coin sometimes for how things affect us. But, if I'm daredeviling with my bike with my friends when I'm younger, and I go over the handlebars and skid down the road, and I get up and I'm bleeding and I'm full of rocks, I want to cry. I'm hurt. I'm in pain. And you're fighting back these tears, and your buddies run up to you right away and go, "You got this, man. You got this. You're be a man. Be a man. You got this. You got this." So you swallow all of that emotion. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's damaging over time. That's
Mm-hmm.
This is why when I was talking to this former vet, or sorry, veteran in Montana about this, it's about recognizing that emotion is our way of cleansing. We need to emote. We
Yeah.
need to allow Anger's okay. Rage, hatred. People are like, "Oh no, that's bad." It is if you're going to project it. But if you're feeling it for whatever reason you're feeling it, it's because your body needs to process it in the way it's processing it, and recognize it for what it is. It's not a bad, emotions aren't bad. There's no good or
No.
bad about an emotion. It's the way we heal. But what's good or bad is how there's judgment on it. And if I shame myself because I want to cry, then I'm really not well.
Yeah.
Mentally, I'm not well.
Mm-mm.
And it took me a long time to figure that out.
Yeah.
So, um, as a man, you can't be a man and cry. You can't be a man and have emotion and whatnot. And I would say that, my friend group, a very large group of friends that we still are very tight and keep in touch with each other, even though we're all around the world. Um, a lot of these people, I can actually just sit down and have a real conversation with about emotion, about pain, about loss, about who I feel I am inside, and we can sit there and discuss this. But I know a lot of men who that's never going to be a topic of conversation, and I think that's completely toxic,
It is.
completely toxic,
It
and
absolutely is.
and it'll spill out in other ways, right?
Mm-hmm.
It'll spill out in other
Violence.
ways. Violence is one. Just and it can be violence, or it can be abuse, verbally, mentally, trying to manipulate another. And usually we hurt the people that we love the most, and which is the saddest thing ever, because all you need to do is make a phone call, get yourself in, instead of paying for whatever it was that you were going to do, instead of going out tonight with the boys and spending like booze is an astronomical price at this point. If you were to go out for a night, I can't imagine what that would cost you, but I know it would be a lot of money. That could be an hour session that could change your life, right? Like
Yeah.
we need men to stand up now.
Better
and
than
say,
drinking. Better
right,
than drinking and smoking and doing all of these things that are going to. I always say
adversely
that
affect us.
that cover up,
Yeah,
that temporary fix. We
yeah.
want to stay at we want to stay at that high. And when that high goes down, we want to maintain that high. It's just like when somebody starts with, with cannabis and then they go from cannabis to Molly, from Molly to cocaine, from cocaine to heroin. It's like you're going from one addiction to another because you want to keep that high. It's just
Hmm.
like people that don't want to hear negativity. They don't want to hear it. They don't want no parts of it. And I'm like, you got to hear negativity in order to make the right decision. You
Hmm.
can't make a decision if everything's always positive because then when negativity hit, you're not going to be prepared for it. The people that hit rock bottom, that come out of rock bottom, and they have went and got mental health. They went and got psychiatric, therapy. They went and they got over cancer. And yet it comes back because we're going back into a world where we don't know how to maintain our healing and recovery. We don't know how to maintain that. We don't know how to maintain the weight loss, maintain our marriages because of all the pain that we don't want to face, the things that we dealt with as children. And I always say, do we want adult relationships or do we want the negative, what exactly is it that we actually want?
Hmm.
Because, for me, it's evenly yoked. I want an adult relationship. I don't want, how you were a kid and you go to your mom and you say, I want a PlayStation. Mom says no. Go to dad. Dad says no. Go to grandma. Grandma gets it for you. Well, we do that with everybody, regardless of
Hmm.
who it is. We'll go from infidelity or adultery because whatever we're not getting from our husband, we're getting from another person that
Hmm.
isn't our husband or wife or girlfriend or boyfriend. Our friends. If our friends don't give us want, we hang around, new people. So it's like that want can be so detrimental because just because you want something doesn't mean that you're meant to have it. Just because you are chosen doesn't mean you're accepted. Because a coach could accept you on a team, but a team don't like you. So
Hmm.
now, even though you're in on a team, they don't want you there. So now
Hmm.
it's, do I stay on a team that don't like me, even though the coach wants me there, or do I leave this team because the team don't want me there? But
Hmm.
we're told to stay. We're told to continue to overcome and go after things that we should have just said no in the first place to.
No's huge. No is huge. And identities. You bring up sports, which is really interesting because I had poured myself into sport because I felt inadequate in school with my brain. I did really well in some courses, the ones I liked, and really poorly in others, the ones I couldn't pay attention to. I probably already had a few concussions by that point as well, right? Which didn't help from football. And I went on to just continue to try to be athletic and I was a decent enough athlete. And but when my knees went south on me, um, then who am I? So there was a certain point in time when I was in Calgary years ago, and I was sitting out on the back steps of my our townhouse. I I had the morning off, so I had both girls down for a nap, and I was sitting outside with a coffee in one hand and a cigarette in the other, and then I said to I realized it was almost like I could look back from above at myself and go, "What the hell am I doing? I don't smoke." And that's when I realized how depressed I was. My sport was gone, and the reason I tried to excel at sport was because I felt mentally inadequate. So I had
Mm-hmm.
to be good at something. And then all of a sudden that's gone. Because if I go out and I play, I'm going to be icing my knees for 2 hours after I'm done and be in so much pain and be hurting myself. So it was all leading me to wake up to what was really going on behind all of this, you know? And now I have a
Mm-hmm.
nicotine addiction. Super. That's awesome. That's great. I had no idea that I slowly started to do these things, and then I was like a sort of a regular smoky guy, and I was like, I hate cigarettes. What am I doing? And but it hit me like a ton of bricks. It was like the world just went, and I went, oh my God, I am depressed. And I didn't know to call it that before. And even though I had bouts of it, I didn't know what I was experiencing. Serious melancholy and all kinds of dangerous places to go with your brain. And it was from that point on, I just went, okay, I need to start talking to somebody because somebody needs to help me with this. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to
Mhm.
get myself back. I know where my heart is. I know the goodness. I believe in myself, and I believe that you know sincerely, I'm a good person, and I do good work. But I'm failing myself on some level, and it's because I don't. Until this moment, I didn't realize I had these issues, and I now realize that I can't fix them. I need
Mhm.
help. So that was huge for me. And it didn't happen like, ooh, right away. I just went out and got help and oh, I'm better. It's a process of learning and yeah, and God bless my wife for being there and supporting me, right?
That support system.
Yeah, and because you can't do it without other people. Nobody does this life without help. Nobody, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and so and and of course my wife has her own stuff that she works through and my kids have their own stuff. And it's funny because our kids would say to us, you screwed us up so badly, we're gonna have to see a psychologist. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. 100%. And I'll help you pay for it. Because
Yeah.
you know yes, you do. You need to get perspective and have somebody help you heal because you have
Mhm.
unique wounds that I know nothing about. And you've got to look at that. But this life is about transformation. We're here.
Absolutely.
We are here to absolutely transform from our pain and our suffering to become who we're supposed to be while we're here. And
Mhm.
it's the trials and tribulations that we go through that help us wake up or hopefully wake up to the fact that, hey, I need a guidance. I'm lost in the middle of the woods. It's dark. I need somebody to take my hand and guide me through. I
The
need a
light.
spirit. I need a spirit to move me through back into the light because I have to admit I'm scared and I don't know how to move from this place. And those are some tough places, and those are some tough realizations in one's life. And but they're also probably the most powerful. And we can become a very powerful being for others if we only choose to just say, I'm going to take ownership on this. This is my shit, not somebody else's. And what you just said upset me, but that's not on you. I got upset because that's my issue. You
Mhm.
pushed my little big red button on my chest and I got upset. It's time that I became a spiritual adult and did the work that I need to do on me so I don't get upset by that anymore.
I can figure out why I was upset about what you said and why it affected me and was it even worth impacting and affecting me in the first place.
Yeah. Uh, we're wasting time. Is what I
Oh
want to
yeah.
tell people. We're wasting time. Go get some mental health help and let's move forward. And there are a lot of really good people out there. And there are a lot of crappy people out there too in mental health. I'll tell you that. You really need to shop around to find the right person, and it may cost you a bit more money just to go from person to person until you feel that fit. But I'm telling you, most people will give you like at least a half an hour of their time, so the both therapist and patient can decide, is this right for me? Is this a relationship I want to enter into? Because that's exactly what it is. And we need to take ownership so we can transform. I'm not really interested in it's funny, my kids, even my wife will watch movies that I just won't watch anymore. The horror movies or the intense dramas and blah blah blah. I'm like, nope. I can doom scroll and see that.
Mhm.
I can turn on the TV. I can do that's everywhere. I
Mhm.
want transformational stories. I want
Yeah,
stories that pick me up because I'm tired at the end of the day. I don't need to be reminded that the world's a shitty place.
that part.
I
Absolutely.
need to be reminded that we are all here as one,
Yeah.
and we're all here to help each other and transform.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in anything else. I want my music to inspire me, right? I have a playlist that is my um I call it my high vibration playlist. And I get my patients to do it too, especially those who are very like hard to get up in the morning, very unwilling. I said, give yourself 10 songs in the morning and your favorite song. That's what you wake up to. Let your brain go, oh, there's something else that's stimulating me this morning. Not, I woke up, I saw the room, and it's messy, and I hate it, and it's cold, and I don't want to go to work.
Yeah.
No, be inspired.
Hmm.
Do things that uplift you and inspire you. Music to me is a big part of my life. So um, my lists of inspirational music just grows and grows and grows over the years, and I encourage people to make their own. But what inspires me may not inspire the other individual, right? It's got to be something that you feel, not
Hmm.
something that you like. But you know so there's lots of little ways that we can start to work ourselves. Drink more water. Go for a walk in nature if you can. You know, go out and be amongst the trees. Walk barefoot on the grass.
Grounding,
Grounding.
reading,
Beach grass, right?
traveling, seeing the world, seeing what's out there. To just get in the car, I tell people make a playlist and just drive.
Yes,
Don't even know where you're going, just drive, and then just see where you end up at. Just see where
that's
you
right.
stop. Where you
Where
stop at.
that's right. See where your inspiration is going to go. And there's usually a reason why you're there.
Hmm.
Be open to the book of life.
Yeah.
It's not like we're here without instruction. We're just not listening. And I believe that, if you're thinking about something in particular, you've got something on your mind, and a bus goes by with a billboard on the side of it that is the exact same thing you were just thinking about. It's the universe just telling you, hey, yeah, you're connected.
Yeah.
Just be conscious to read what's around you all the time. Now, we can't stay conscious all the time. Otherwise, I think we'd be more like Buddha and go poof. We'd be done. but but we're here because we're all in this together. We need each other to be inspirational for each other, or just a shoulder to cry on, or a helping hand. And there's not any one of us that doesn't need this, and we need to help each other transform. This could be a much better world. It could
Yeah,
be.
it can be. So how can people reach you as far as trying to reach you as far as, what you do and helping people as far as physically and mentally as far as that connection is concerned?
They can always my website, stuartseminars.com. My big thing is really trying to inspire therapists to look at all of what we've talked about today as when a patient walks in, you're treating the entire patient. They're the living history of everything that's ever affected them. And you have to have respect for that and keep that in mind. And that's what I want to do. I want to teach therapists how to move in this world from that perspective. So yeah, stuartseminars.com. I'm also on Facebook, Stuart Seminars, and or Stuart Therapies and Seminars. And I have a LinkedIn page, Stuart Seminars. So anyway, you can reach me through that anytime. Although LinkedIn bugs me, I'll tell you that right now. Uh, and I don't need to know that this is your third work anniversary. And have my inbox be inundated with people's. That's great. That's really great. But if there's anything of more consequence than that that's in my inbox, I'd love it. But I'm just saying, I've always had an issue with LinkedIn, but apparently very important. According to my social media manager, I got to
Yeah.
be on it. Just thought I'd throw that out there.
It is. But you know what? This is definitely be a pleasure, and we're gonna have to do this again. And
Love to,
I
love to.
hopefully that a lot of therapists will listen to this and take this in as far as this conversation, because it'd be no different than me being a patient and you being a therapist, the same thing. So I think it was kind of that dynamic, which is a good thing. Because I
Hmm.
mean, at the end of the day, our minds, our bodies, and our emotions, it's important to learn the intelligence of body, mind, spirit, and learning that there is a balance, and learning the balance, and that we have to accept the bad.
Hmm.
Even though we don't want to, we have to accept the bad and realize that sometimes we may have to go through those tunnels and those rivers, and sometimes we got to sit still. Sometimes we got
Hmm.
to move. It's just like
That's
the
right.
48 laws of power. It's the same thing. Sometimes you got to move, sometimes you got to sit still, sometimes you have to just do nothing. But I've learned with negativity, you're not going to win unless you embrace it and say, okay, I'm going to embrace this.
And
I'm
move
gonna
it.
and move, and I'm going to get to the other side. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna let a higher power lead me down that journey, or the people that love me to lead me down that journey, and trust my instincts and trust instead of me doubting myself, because those insecurities and those doubts will play a very big part as well. So I'm definitely looking forward to us doing this again. And this has definitely been a pleasure. And I appreciate you for doing this with me.
Oh, I'm so glad that we found each other. This is awesome. I don't get a
Me
chance to
too.
actually talk like this, so this is lovely.
Well, I'm glad you were able to. So, with that being said, I thank you guys for joining me for this episode. I'm Goddess Ashamaya Mariama. I appreciate you guys. I hope you guys enjoy it. And until next time, we will see you guys later. You guys have a very beautiful day. And until next week, we'll talk soon. Bye, guys. Sorry, y'all. I've been here. It's just that I was actually had to when I do the type podcast, I have to be out of it in order to let it play. So if y'all wondering why I didn't do an intro, was because if I go back and forth, it ends up stalling. So I finally figured out that once I do it, I have to just go straight into it and then talk to y'all afterwards. But if you are interested in being a part of my podcast, as far as a guest of my podcast, if you are interested in just seeing my podcast, or if this podcast or all of my podcasts that I do on my channels, if they inspire you, if they help you through your journeys, please email me. And if you want to have products that you would like for me to promote, you can email me at asha.mariama01@gmail.com. That's asha.mariama01@gmail.com. I love that conversation because that conversation was so enlightening, because we don't understand the importance of the mind and the body and the importance of them having a connection. Even though the neck is what connects the mind to the body, if the mind and body don't understand each other, then they can't communicate. If they can't communicate, then the mind has no idea what the body goes through. When I started opening my third eye, I started connecting my mind to my body and then my mind to my spirit. I got a better understanding of what different functions and different parts actually felt like. So, is it an easy journey? No, but it was worth it though, because I learned so much about the importance of the mind and the body connecting, the importance of, the emotional intelligence and critical thinking, common sense, and common judgment. Those things were very, very important. So I wanted you guys to hear this podcast, and I hope it really does help you through your journeys of everything that you're going through. And I really hope that it inspires you to learn more about your body. And before you make decisions, make sure that you understand physically how it impacts you before you just go off your emotions. Understand how the mind and the body are going to be impacted internally and externally before you just react based on your emotions. Make sure that these are things that are worth, you know, trying to, be upset about or whatever your feelings are about it. So, with that being said, I really appreciate you guys for joining me. The one that I was going to do with Miss Melissa has been pushed back because she has laryngitis. She's not feeling well. So, that one will be pushed back until after she feels better. I have a conversation that I have with someone else that I um, posted yesterday. And then also I have someone else that I'll be doing a conversation with that I'll be posting as well. So I'm really excited about, what's to come, all the things that are going to be happening. And I'm so very gratefully appreciate to all of you that have been listening, all of you that, take the time to even listen to the podcast, and those of you that like and subscribe, and for those of you that learn something from this, because I just want people to learn from it. I want people to grow, evolve, elevate. I want people to heal. I just want people to be better and to do better. In order to become the best version, you got to do better and become better and make better choices, decisions, and your actions, behavior will reflect that. So, that being said, I appreciate you guys for joining me. And until next time, we'll talk later. Bye, guys.